What if aliens, like, what if they decided to skip talking to grown-ups and went straight for the kids? Sounds crazy, right? Like something out of a movie.
Yeah.
But what if it actually happened?
Oh.
Welcome to Forbidden Unveiled. I'm your host, John Doe.
Hi, everyone.
And with me, as always, is the one and only Jane Doe. She's our resident expert on all things paranormal.
That's me.
Today, we are diving deep into the Ariel school encounter.
Ooh.
This UFO event has had researchers and enthusiasts scratching their heads for decades.
It's a good one. It really makes you think.
Right. We're talking about a whole group of school children in Zimbabwe. Back in 1994, they claimed to have seen a UFO.
Not just seen it.
Oh, yeah, and they interacted with some strange beings.
Yes.
All right, so picture this. It's a sunny day in Rua, Zimbabwe. Kids are out at recess at the Ariel school. Teachers are in a meeting, typical school day. Everything seems normal.
Right.
But wait, there's a twist.
Always a twist.
Okay, so get this. Days before this, there were a ton of UFO sightings all over southern Africa. People saw this crazy, bright fireball in the sky, thought it was a meteor.
Oh, wow.
Or a comet.
Uh-huh.
Turns out it was just debris from a Russian satellite.
Oh.
Talk about setting the stage for some extraterrestrial drama.
It really does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like a cosmic prelude
Yeah.
to the main event.
Exactly.
Okay, back to that sunny day at Ariel school. The kids are playing. Then suddenly, they hear this bizarre buzzing sound. Imagine a swarm of bees, but like on steroids.
Oh, my goodness.
And then they look up and see this silver disc-shaped object coming down from the sky, landing in a field nearby.
Classic.
Not your average schoolyard sight.
No, not at all. The children's descriptions of the object are, remarkably consistent with classic UFO reports. The silver disc, the unusual movements, and that buzzing sound you mentioned, it really paints a picture, of something extraordinary happening in that schoolyard.
And then things get even weirder.
Even weirder.
Two figures come out of the craft. But these aren't your typical little green men. We're talking beings, like about 4 feet tall.
Okay.
With large heads, big black almond-shaped eyes.
Wow.
And tiny mouths and noses. They're wearing these dark, tight-fitting suits, almost like hazmat gear. Can you imagine being a kid and seeing that?
Yo, talk about a playground shocker.
I know, right?
It's incredible. And the descriptions of the beings are remarkably similar among the children.
Yeah.
Which just adds another layer of intrigue to their accounts.
It really does.
And it's fascinating that some of the children, they even interpreted the beings through the lens of their local folklore. They saw them as tikalashes.
Tikalashes?
Yeah, these mischievous, goblin-like creatures.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
It's like their cultural background, influenced how they perceived this utterly alien experience.
Yeah, exactly. Their individual perceptions, they add a unique dimension to this story. And speaking of individual reactions, the kids didn't all respond the same way. Some of the younger ones naturally freaked out and ran for their lives.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But the older kids, they were mesmerized.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and one fifth grader, she even felt compelled to walk towards the beings,
Really?
even though she was scared.
I bet. It's like some unseen force was drawing her in.
Right. It's a common thread in a lot of close encounter accounts, this feeling of being pulled in, almost against your will. It's as if the beings have some kind of power or influence that we don't quite understand.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got the setting, the UFO, and the strange beings.
Right.
But the story doesn't end there.
Of course not.
One 12-year-old girl, Lizzle, she had an especially intense experience.
Absolutely. Lizzle's account is one of the most compelling pieces of this whole puzzle. She describes this ringing in her ears.
Okay.
And then she starts seeing these vivid images, disturbing images, a burning earth, people screaming, oceans boiling.
Wow, that's intense.
Talk about apocalyptic.
Heavy stuff for a 12-year-old to process. It's like she was receiving a message. A warning about the fate of the planet.
And that's precisely what many researchers believe, that the children were receiving a telepathic communication.
Yeah.
A message about humanity's destructive impact on the environment.
Right.
And the misuse of technology.
Wow, that's a lot to take in.
And it wasn't just Lizzle. Several other children reported similar experiences, feeling stuck, having floating sensations, and seeing those same images of a devastated Earth.
Whoa. Telepathic communication. Now that's where things get really interesting. This wasn't like some unified message, was it? Like all the kids didn't get the same message.
Right, and that's to be expected. They were all different ages from different backgrounds with varying levels of understanding.
Yeah,
It would be strange if everyone had the exact same interpretation of such a bizarre experience.
that's true. Okay, so we've got this group of kids who have just had this mind-blowing experience. What happens next? Do they just shrug it off and go back to class like nothing happened?
I wish. No, not quite. The school bell rings, bringing them back to reality, and as you can imagine, chaos breaks loose.
I bet.
The kids rush back to their classrooms, excitedly trying to explain what they'd just seen.
That must have been pure pandemonium.
I can only imagine the teachers' faces. Okay, kids, settle down. Aliens. Buzzing sounds. Sure, sure. But to his credit, the headmaster took the kids seriously. He actually had them draw what they saw
Right.
and write down their experiences.
That was a brilliant move.
Yeah, those drawings and written accounts, they became crucial pieces of evidence in the investigation.
For sure.
And of course, the parents were understandably freaked out.
Of course.
And before you know it, the media, including the BBC, picks up the story.
Wow.
The Ariel school encounter becomes international news.
So at this point, we've got multiple eyewitness accounts from kids,
Mm-hmm.
drawings, and the media buzzing about it. Seems like a pretty solid case, right?
Well, not everyone was convinced. There was a healthy dose of skepticism, too. Some people dismissed it as mass hysteria,
Oh, come on.
or simply kids with overactive imaginations. I mean, kids can be easily influenced, right?
Yeah, fair enough. But then enters Cynthia Hind,
Oh, yeah.
a UFO investigator,
Uh-huh.
and the big one, Dr. John Mack, a Harvard psychiatrist
Now we're talking.
who specialized in alien abduction experiences. Now that's a game changer.
Absolutely. Cynthia Hind was one of the first to interview the children, and she found a remarkable consistency in their stories.
Yeah.
It strengthened her belief that something truly unusual had occurred.
And Dr. Mack, a Harvard psychiatrist, he actually believed these kids. That's huge.
Yeah, he did?
Even if his methods were a bit controversial, his involvement lends a certain credibility to the case.
Exactly. He believed that many people who claimed to have been abducted by aliens were telling the truth, and he approached the Ariel school case with that same open mind.
So we've got these amazing eyewitness accounts,
Yeah.
a UFO investigator,
Yeah.
and a Harvard psychiatrist all saying that something incredible happened.
It's pretty convincing.
But every good story needs a twist.
Oh, there's a twist.
Enter Dallin,
Okay.
a former student at Ariel School,
All right.
and he drops a bombshell.
What is it?
In a recent Netflix documentary, Dallin claimed that he made the whole thing up
What?
as a prank
Yes, crank.
to get out of class.
No.
He said he pointed at a shiny rock and told the other kids it was a UFO, and the story just spiraled out of control from there.
Oh, so one kid's prank turned into this massive UFO sighting that made headlines worldwide.
Exactly.
That's wild.
It is wild. But hold on, this confession, it came years after the event, right?
Right. And there's no way to independently verify his claim.
Yeah.
Memory is a tricky thing, and there could be other motivations behind his confession that we don't know about.
Right. Plus, a lot of the other witnesses, including some who were interviewed decades later, they still stand by their stories. They insist it wasn't a hoax or mass hysteria.
So where does that leave us?
That's the million-dollar question. Is the Ariel school encounter one of the most credible UFO sightings in history? Or was it an elaborate schoolyard prank that took on a life of its own?
A schoolyard prank that took on a life of its own.
The Ariel school case remains a topic of debate even today. There's no definitive proof that settles the matter once and for all.
It's a mystery wrapped in an enigma.
And that's what makes it so fascinating. And we're going to keep digging into this, but before we do, what do you think so far? Have you ever experienced anything remotely like this? Let us know. We love hearing your thoughts and theories.
No.
And don't forget to follow or subscribe to Forbidden Unveiled for more deep dives into the strange and unexplained. We'll be right back after a quick.
I'm eager to hear what else we uncover.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that really gets me about this whole thing is the timing. It wasn't just some random, event out of the blue.
Right.
Remember all those UFO sightings over southern Africa?
Yeah.
Right before the Ariel school thing?
Oh, yeah, like something was brewing in the skies above southern Africa.
Yeah.
You mentioned that fiery streak that everyone thought was a meteor,
Uh-huh.
which turned out to be a Russian satellite falling back to Earth.
Right.
You think that that space junk show had anything to do with the Ariel school encounter just days later?
It's a great question. Some researchers think there was a surge in UFO activity in the area during that time.
Wow.
It's as if something was drawing these objects
Mm-hmm.
to southern Africa.
Hmm. Could you imagine being a researcher trying to like connect those dots?
Yeah,
It's like a real life X-Files episode unfolding.
I know.
So maybe the satellite debris was just a coincidence,
Maybe.
or maybe it was somehow tied to what brought those UFOs to Zimbabwe. Okay, let's talk about something that still blows my mind: the telepathic communication that the
Sure.
children described.
Oh, yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
It's definitely one of the most fascinating aspects of this whole case.
Right.
It adds another layer of complexity, don't you think?
It does.
They didn't just see something strange. They
Right.
felt it.
Yeah.
Like a message being transmitted directly into their minds, not through words,
Right.
but through emotions and images.
It's like something out of a science fiction movie.
I know, right?
But how could that even be possible? Is telepathy even a real thing?
That's the big question, isn't it? We still don't fully understand how consciousness works, let alone how it might interact with other beings or technologies beyond our current understanding. It's a bit of a rabbit hole, but the fact that these reports, they persist
Yeah.
across different cultures and time periods, it makes you wonder if there's something more to it.
So we're left with this incredible possibility that these children might have tapped into a form of communication that we, with our limited understanding of the universe, can't even begin to comprehend.
Right.
What if there are like ways of interacting with the world that we haven't even discovered yet?
It's a mind-boggling thought.
It really is.
And speaking of things that are hard to explain, let's talk about the physical traces that were found near the supposed landing site.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't that kind of lend some weight to the children's claims?
You mean the flattened grass
Yeah.
and those triangular indentations
Yeah.
in the ground? I remember reading about that. It definitely suggests that something heavy landed there.
Exactly. While it's not, conclusive proof,
Right.
this physical evidence does support the idea that something out of the ordinary happened.
Yeah.
A bunch of kids couldn't fake those indentations.
Yeah. And remember, some of the children, they described seeing smaller objects with flashing lights,
Yeah.
zipping around the main craft,
Oh.
appearing and disappearing in different spots.
Those smaller objects, or orbs, as some people call them, they add another layer of weirdness to the whole event. It suggests a level of technological sophistication that's pretty hard to wrap our heads around.
Right. It's like their technology operates on a different set of rules
Oh.
than anything we're familiar with.
Right.
So we've got multiple witnesses, consistent descriptions,
Uh-huh.
physical traces,
Yeah.
and reports of telepathic communication. It's a pretty compelling case, even with all the skepticism surrounding it. But what really strikes me is how this event has stuck with the children,
Yeah.
even after all these years.
Yeah.
Many of them are adults now, right?
Uh-huh.
And they still vividly remember the encounter. And they firmly believe in what they saw.
That's powerful. It wasn't just some fleeting childhood memory.
Right.
It was a life-altering experience that shaped their worldviews. They talk about how it changed their understanding of reality and their
Wow.
place in the universe.
It's like they were given a glimpse behind the curtain, a peek into a reality that
Yeah.
most of us never get to see. But if we entertain the possibility that the children really did encounter extraterrestrial beings,
Mm-hmm.
why do you think they chose a school? Why target children specifically?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? One theory is that children are more open to new experiences
Mm-hmm.
and less burdened by preconceived notions.
Yeah.
They might be more receptive to unusual phenomena like telepathic communication because their minds are more flexible.
Yeah, it's like their imaginations haven't been stifled by the limitations of the adult world.
Yeah.
Maybe they're more in tune with the unknown.
Perhaps. But what if there's a more strategic reason behind this?
Okay.
What if they wanted to leave a lasting impression on humanity, to plant a seed of awareness about things like peace and environmentalism? What better way to do that than to target the next generation?
Wow, that's deep. They saw the future of humanity in those children, and maybe wanted to give them a nudge in the right direction.
It's a compelling thought, and it aligns with the messages that many of the children reported receiving. Warnings about the environment, pleas for peace and understanding, and a sense of urgency about the future. It's like they were saying, hey, kids, pay attention. We need you to do better than we did.
It's a story that gives you hope, isn't it? Even amidst all the mystery and uncertainty,
Yeah.
it reminds us that we have the power to create a better future. But here's something I've been wondering about. Do you think there's a connection between the Ariel school encounter and other UFO sightings involving children, like the Westall UFO incident in Australia
Oh,
back in 1966?
That's an interesting connection. It's another famous case where a large group of school children claim to have seen a UFO land near their school. It's definitely a pattern worth exploring.
Yeah, the Westall incident's definitely a case that echoes the Ariel school encounter. In 1966, over 200 students and teachers
Wow.
at Westall High School in Melbourne, Australia,
okay.
reported seeing a silver disc-shaped object descending into a nearby field.
200 witnesses.
Okay.
That's a huge number. And the description of the object is strikingly similar
Yeah,
to what the children in Zimbabwe saw.
it is.
Do you think there's like a genuine connection between these two cases? Or is it just a coincidence?
It's hard to say for sure, but the similarities are definitely intriguing. You know,
Yeah.
both involve large groups of children
Yeah.
witnessing UFO landings near their schools.
Right.
Both involve silver, disc-shaped objects.
Yeah.
And both have left a lasting impact on those who were there. It makes you wonder if there's something about schools or the children themselves that attracts these objects.
It's a fascinating thought, isn't it? What if children are somehow like more attuned to these phenomena? Maybe their minds are more open, less cluttered with the skepticism and preconceived notions that, that we adults tend to carry around.
That's a theory that some researchers have proposed.
Yeah.
That children, with their open minds,
And vivid imaginations, they might be more sensitive to the subtle energies or frequencies associated with UFOs.
Uh-huh.
It's like they have a sixth sense that we've lost touch with as we've grown older.
that's a really cool idea. It's like they're more in tune with the cosmic vibes or something.
Right.
But if that's the case, why haven't we been able to develop technology that can detect these energies or frequencies? Wouldn't that be like the holy grail of UFO research?
It would be amazing.
Yeah.
But you have to remember that our current scientific instruments, they might not be sensitive enough to pick up on whatever it is
Mm.
that these children are perceiving. It's like trying to listen to a dog whistle. We know the sound is there,
Right.
but our ears aren't designed to hear it.
So we're left with these anecdotal accounts, these
Wow.
subjective experiences that are difficult to prove or disprove. It can be frustrating, especially for those of us who crave concrete evidence. But maybe the nature of these phenomena is such that they defy our attempts to quantify and measure them with our current tools and understanding.
That's a possibility we have to consider. Maybe we need to approach the UFO phenomenon with a different mindset, a different set of tools. Maybe we need to expand our understanding of consciousness and reality itself to truly grasp what's going on.
It's mind-blowing to think about the implications. It's like we're standing on the edge of a vast uncharted territory.
Yeah.
And these children are giving us glimpses of what lies beyond.
And that's why cases like the Ariel school encounter and the Westall incident are so valuable. They challenge us to question our assumptions, to push the boundaries of our knowledge, and to consider the possibility that there's so much more to the universe than we currently comprehend. They invite us to be open to the extraordinary.
It's a humbling thought, but it's also incredibly exciting. Who knows what we might discover if we dare to look beyond the limitations of our current understanding.
Exactly. We have to keep asking questions, keep exploring, and keep our minds open to the wonders of the universe. Who knows what other mysteries are waiting to be unraveled?
Well said. This deep dive into the Ariel school encounter has been truly mind-expanding. We've explored the facts, the theories, and the implications of this incredible event. And while we may never know for sure what happened that day in Zimbabwe, one thing is certain: it's a story that continues to fascinate and inspire, reminding us that there's still so much we don't know about the universe and our place within it.
It's a reminder that the pursuit of knowledge is a never-ending journey full of wonder and possibility.
A huge thank you to all of you for joining us on this deep dive into the Ariel school encounter. If this episode blew your mind like it did ours, don't forget to subscribe to Forbidden Unveiled for more explorations of the unexplained. And if you have any thoughts or theories about the Ariel school encounter or any other strange phenomena, be sure to share them with us. We love hearing from you. Until next time, keep those minds open and those imaginations firing.